April 22nd, 1946, Shanghai. In a city still recovering from war, a wooden gallows stands inside the former racecourse grounds. 3 Japanese soldiers are led forward, calm and silent. Their hands are bound, their eyes fixed on the crowd of Allied officers waiting to witness the sentence. Moments later, the trapdoors open, and another chapter of World War II comes to an end. Who are these men, and what had they done? Their names were Masataka Kaburagi, Kiyomi Kawai, and Yosaburo Shirakawa, all members of the Imperial Japanese Army in China. Their executions marked the conclusion of one of the first Allied war crimes trials held after the war. A trial that began with the story of 8 American airmen captured after the Doolittle Raid of 1942. The Doolittle Raid was America's first direct strike on Japan after Pearl Harbor. 16 B-25 bombers launched from the carrier USS Hornet, flying more than 600 miles to bomb Tokyo and other targets. The mission's goal was not destruction, but message that Japan was not untouchable. Most crews escaped to China, but 8 unlucky airmen fell into Japanese hands near the city of Hankow. Instead of being treated as prisoners of war, they were accused of bombing civilians and put on trial before a military court, a sham proceeding later known as the Kangaroo Court. There were no lawyers, no defense, and no mercy. 3 of the airmen were executed by firing squad. The rest were sent to prison. One would die there before the end of the war. When Japan surrendered in August 1945, the Allied powers began investigating these and countless other war crimes across Asia. In Shanghai, American prosecutors under the command of General Douglas MacArthur's legal section gathered evidence and witness statements. They traced the murders back to Kempeitai units, Japan's military police, who had overseen the execution of the captured flyers. Orders had come from senior officers, but the direct responsibility fell on the men who carried them out. In February 1946, a tribunal opened in Shanghai to try those accused of murdering the Doolittle flyers and other Allied prisoners. After weeks of testimony, 3 men were found guilty. Major General Masataka Kaburagi, Chief of Staff of the Japanese 34th Army, Sergeant Major Kiyomi Kawai, and Corporal Yosaburo Shirakawa, both of the Kempeitai. The evidence was overwhelming. Documents, eyewitness accounts, and even confessions. The court ruled that the accused had either ordered or participated directly in the unlawful executions of American prisoners. All 3 were sentenced to death by hanging. On the morning of April 22nd, the condemned men were brought to the execution site. They were allowed to speak their final words, though none did. A U.S. Army Signal Corps film crew captured the moment. The gallows, the ropes, the reading of the verdict. It was part of the Allies' effort to record justice being served after years of war. The hangings were not unique. Between 1945 and 1949, Allied tribunals across the Pacific conducted more than 2,000 war crimes trials. Hundreds of Japanese officers, soldiers, and officials were executed for atrocities committed in China, the Philippines, Burma, and the Pacific Islands. The Shanghai trials were just one part of that global reckoning. But the case of the 3 men hanged for the Doolittle murders carried special weight. It symbolized the idea that no soldier could hide behind orders, that individuals, not just nations, were accountable for what happened in war. For the families of the murdered airmen, it was justice. For others, it was a reminder that even after surrender, the war's violence had not yet ended.